welcome to the News 9 Plus show on the world's first news and current affairs OTT platform, News 9 Plus. Lieutenant General Rajiv Puri, who completed his tenure as commander of 17 Mountain Strike Corps on the 20th of November, has written to General Officer Commander-in-Chief Eastern Command Lieutenant General Ramchandar Tiwari, calling for a performance review of women commanding officers. He has cited significant concerns regarding their leadership in the force. In his letter, he outlines a series of problems that women officers in leadership roles have faced in the past year. He has said, and I quote, exhibiting poor interpersonal relations with an exaggerated tendency to complain to senior commanders about their subordinates rather than exercising their own authority and powers first. He also pointed to a lack of empathy among some women commanding officers for officers and troops in their units, and that any professional disagreement or minor argument is viewed as insubordination. The lack of empathy may be attributable to a need to overcompensate. Now, the Army had promoted 108 women officers to the rank of colonel after the Supreme Court's landmark judgment in the year 2022. Indian women have been part of the armed forces in mainly combat service support branches and in non-combatant roles since the year 1988, and in post-independence India on November 58, the Army Medical Corps became the first unit of the Indian Army to grant regular commissions to women. Slowly, they were inducted in other branches like legal, education, ASC, signals, etc. On the 17th of February 2020, the Supreme Court said that women officers in the Indian Army can get command positions at par with male officers. The court said that the government's arguments against it were discriminatory, disturbing, and based on stereotypes. Now, this letter written by Lieutenant General Rajiv Puri, is it discriminatory, disturbing, and based on stereotypes, or are there some serious issues that need to be addressed and sorted out? And if so, then how? Let's talk about that. And to do that, we have with us Lieutenant General Sanjay Kulkarni, Defense and Geopolitics expert, Lieutenant General Rajiv Chaudhary, former DG BRO, and in the studio with me is my colleague Nivriti Mohan. Let me begin with Nivriti. Nivriti, let's put this into context before we go to our guests. Talk to us, the moment you start, complaining about the way women operate in any organization, leave alone the army, the first argument that comes up is this being sexist? Is it, following a pattern of stereotypes?
See, if you read the letter, you will find out that it is specifically he is mentioning about women officers. So why was there a need to talk about specifically women officers? This could have been, these are the officers and they are not performing well, or these are the problems with these officers because they are not trained, or whatever the issues are. But once you put that word, these women officers, it automatically takes you to a line which is based on gender. Why can't it be, look, we don't have many women officers or women personnel in armed forces, not even 1%, I guess. If I'm not correct, maybe the gentlemen sitting over here, they can correct me, but I think not more than 1% women. And if you don't encourage them, and these kind of letters which say that they are not performing well, they lack in interpersonal relationships, saying this, that maybe they are not trained, this can be one of the logical things that is talked about in this particular letter. But generalizing all the women officers in this manner is not at all good. And what I personally feel is that this is not constitutional also, because you cannot differentiate between two people on the basis of gender, sex, or something like this. So it is unconstitutional as well. And if you talk about the performance, I have been to certain places where I have seen women outperforming men. So talking about women are these days posted on the line of actual control also, and on highest of the posts. And if I talk about Border Roads Organization, I had been to the highest BRTF, that is BR 755 BRTF, which is in Hanle at 15,300 feet above sea level. And I won't be naming the officer, but she is outperforming the male officers. The work she is delivering is ahead of what the deadline has been given to her.
Okay.
So all these things are to be kept in mind. Personally, I think that this is this statement, this letter in a way is unconstitutional.
Lieutenant General Sanjay Kulkarni, the problem here is that there is no word about how difficult it is for a woman to, first of all, get into the armed forces and perform. And there are so many outperformers, as Nivriti has talked about. There is no letter about the outperformers or how difficult it is. There is no context. There is just a general complaint. If these women officers are supposedly complaining too much, it looks like the letter is also complaining too much about women.
Now, firstly, at the very outset, let me tell you, it is nothing to do. Now, the very thought that you have said that is a women officer. He's not referring to women officers. He's referring to women in command. That's the difference. He's not complaining about women officers at all. He has nothing to talk about the women officers. He's saying that since a year has passed for the women officers who've been given command by authority of the Supreme Court were absolutely constitutional and nothing so unconstitutional about it. I would beg to differ with her. Now, what is it he's saying? He's saying that for the last 1 year that they're in command, out of the 12 who have cleared for command, there are 8 which are with him, and about 102 who've been cleared for the rank of full colonel. Perfectly fine. First and foremost, this is something which is absolutely within the organization. It should not have gone out. It's an organizational matter and how to deal with it. And reasons. He's also given reasons. He says, well, none of these women officers would have undergone a criteria. Every officer who gets a command has to undergo a criteria appointment. And those criteria appointments that go through various things, they're graded in that, and then accordingly officers are given command, whether they're male or women. It doesn't make any difference at all. They're given based on that. Plus, what is he referring to again? He's again referring to as a corps commander. We have to grant him. He's a corps commander who is bringing it to the notice of his hierarchy. Look, he's not complaining. The word is not complaining. He's saying that these women officers who have now been given command, command is a different aspect and serving is a different aspect, because there are so many two different issues. I have had so many women officers under command with me, but they were not in command. They were as part of a unit. They perform exceedingly well. I go along with Chawla to say, yes, they perform exceedingly well, everywhere and everywhere, no doubt about it. But to say that they would have commanded or performed better than male officers, at some places, yes. I've seen them even running in physical exercises and fitness. They may have outperformed certain times at a point of time better than male officers. No doubt about that. But this particular letter is not complaining about women officers. That is the first thing. He's right. What is he bringing it to the notice of the hierarchy is you have given command to them, and therefore they may please be trained to be given command. Otherwise, suddenly when you give them command for which they are not equipped and trained, just because there are directions that have come that they may be given, it might lead to what that ensuring the empathy part of it, or wanting to prove that, well, if you don't listen to me, it's my way or highway or things of those kind. All that is wrong. But I would certainly say that women officers have performed very well. I'm not at all against them. So many of them have been under me only. No problems whatsoever. But he's not referring, again, let me bring out to your notice, he's not referring to women officers in general. He's only referring to those 8 lady officers who are in command. There are 2 distinct things: to be on staff, to be on command, and to be a part of a unit. So there are 3 different things. So when you say command, it is to lead them to various issues, and he is the part of a 17 corps. So let's not say that this corps commander has just brought out to the notice saying that he's only complaining about lady officers and complain. No, he's not doing that. He's only bringing it to the notice of the hierarchy. Look, these are the things which need to be done. And it would be so much better for the MS. He's brought to the notice. The MS and the AG's branch may please look into it, so that hereinafter when you promote ladies for command, all these things are addressed and they are not put to disadvantage. They're groomed for command. They're groomed for command so that they know. And everybody is slowly. So these are all initial hiccups. This is the first command, first year only of the lady officers who have been given command of a unit. It's a huge thing. Most of us who joined the services, we may have retired as general, but this is not what we aspired for. We wanted to command a unit. That is the first and the last thing a man looks for in the services is command of a unit. That is where he is showing concern that if you have to get these lady officers to do well, please look into the following. Let's groom them up, let's prepare them for command, and then we'll see to it that at no point of time found wanting on any issue, whether it is, what you say, exaggerated this thing, or wanting to prove my way or highway, or feeling in the male bastion, if you have not heard me, probably I've been discriminated, or reporting upwards every now and then, or no empathy being shown, or leave not being granted, minor things, or somebody has not opened the door or something like that of my vehicle, all that is all very minor things. What is important is how to groom them for command, how to make them acceptable to the organization, and that they are a part of it. We've accepted them. The officers, the men have accepted them. They are part of it. No problems at all. But how to make them better is what he's bringing it out in his letter, which in any case is an internal matter which should not have been leaked out in this manner. That is what is my take on it.
Lieutenant General Rajiv Chaudhary, very important point. It's an internal matter. We shouldn't even be sitting here discussing this. This letter should have never come out in the first place. But now that it has come out, there is, the demarcation Lieutenant General Sanjay Kulkarni is making. There is difference between how well women officers are performing and how well women commanding officers are performing. Maybe there is a lack of grooming for women when it comes to taking commanding officer positions. Would you concur with that?
The word women remains attached.
Okay.
I will, partially agree to what General Kulkarni stated. Firstly, this letter shouldn't have come in the open domain. That is one. But it has come up now, so we have to discuss this. So 7-8 points, observations the Corps Commander has made against the commanding women officers who are in the commanding role. So I don't think any of these things, what he has mentioned, misplaced sense of entitlement or lack of empathy, low tolerance to ambiguity, is gender specific. It can be a male officer also, behaving in this manner if he understands that. So firstly, I will say this is not correct to assign all these attributes to women officers in command. Secondly, he has been slightly harsh on the judgmental spectrum. He has not mentioned one, it is not objective, it is subjective, as Nivriti also told, it is generalized. He is generalized, and it causes some concern in those women officers who are commanding, and day night they are, there's one point I'll try to say here: over or lack of ambition. Now, what is it? Either it is over, that is also not accepted, or lack of ambition. And it will happen to any male officer also. So there are all kind of people who come in command. Everyone is not doing absolutely on the 10 out of 10 scale. So we have to accept it. Now, women officers have been accepted as commanding officers. So it is the responsibility of the system, organization, to train them, to mentor them. So that is very important. What we are shying away means we have to accept. We don't. It is what Nivriti was telling. They are not even 1%. They are exactly 0.6%. They are part of us. Just now, Lieutenant General D.P. Singh was, pipped by his own 2 daughters who are in uniform. How can you exclude women officers now out of our system? 32 years now, and we are saying they are not good or they are not good in command. They just taken over command. Please understand this. And I, as DGPR, started this when I took over. Within 3 months, I took a decision. Till then, the women officers were put in staff appointments all through the service. They were just in staff appointments. I said, why can't we give them command roles? So we took this decision. It was a experimental decision, and I told that I will put them in the most difficult places. 3 women officers I placed in command of RCC. One was Munshiari, Bugdiar, Milam axis. That is the toughest road what border road organization was doing. Then second was on Mana axis. Mana is the second highest pass in the country, 18,000 feet. Major Aina Rana was placed there, and Obin Taki along Yingkiang Road. So all 3 were difficult appointments, and they succeeded. They did very well. Then I took a decision. Okay, when this 108 were cleared for the command assignments, I said, give me 2 women officers in border road task forces. And border road task forces, most of them are in difficult areas. And I said, I will put them in the most difficult areas. I will not give them soft appointments. One was placed in Archana Sood, was placed in 0 in upper reaches of Arunachal Pradesh on the forward line. And Colonel Doming, I will name them because they've done exceedingly well. At Hanle, we just moved a task force at 15,300 feet. That is got a world record certificate for being the highest working agency in the world, and she is handling 4 most difficult tasks today. She is maintaining the Umlinga road, that is the highest motorable road in the country. She is making a road, Likaru Migla Fukche, which is going to break this record, 19,400 feet. She is making Nyama airfield, and she is making CDFD road, Chushul Dungti Fukche Demchok road, which is just 10 kilometers hugging to LSE. Now, these are the kind of tasks what she is doing. And she is performing much better than a male officer would have done that. I'm telling you with a lot of conviction. I have, as a CO, I've handled a women officer in my regiment, in my engineer brigade. My GSU 2 ops in engineer brigade was a woman officer, Major Bindu Nair. She is now Colonel Bindu Nair,
Fair
who
enough.
is commanding a TA battalion in Valley. And
Fair
she's
enough,
doing
Lieutenant General Rajiv
exceedingly
Chaudhary. My only question at this stage is that if that's illustrious history of women commanding officers, how come this letter happened, and how come this letter got leaked in the first place? This doesn't speak well of the armed forces that a letter like this was first of all written and then it got leaked to the general public.
No, that is not my take or mandate to comment how it has come out or why it was written. But what I'm trying to say is they are officers first. Women and men is different. They are officers first, and whatever has been attributed to them as the commanding officer also applies to male officers. Exaggerated tendency to complain or not understanding the personal relations or lack of tact. This is a common thing which is any human being will have. You can find this kind of deficiencies, or if you feel limitations in any officer. They are officers first. They men and women can be mentioned later. When we have taken a gender equal or gender neutral approach to the officers cadre, then there's no question. It is incumbent on leadership to groom them. They are part of us. They are not something different. They have not been thrust upon us.
Lieutenant General Sanjay Kokri, that's the point, isn't it? There should have not been a letter like this. If you had a problem, then it's upon you to grooming. If there's a grooming issue, then it's a grooming issue. There could have actually been a letter about the problems with commanding officers across the board. Irrespective of genders and where they're performing and where they're not performing, and general need for commanding officers to be groomed better. But this is clearly targeting one particular gender. That's
why were they not trained, first of all? Isn't it? Why were they not trained? They are saying, the letter says that they were not given junior commands, and straight away after becoming colonels they are being given commands. So they don't have that experience of junior command. So it was the liability of the organization to train them. If they are not trained, that doesn't mean that it reduces their competency and they should not be posted on these higher posts.
Right. That's the point, isn't it, Lieutenant General Sanjay Kulkarni?
See, what happens is this misplaced sense of, what they call it, entitlement or whatever you want to call it as. It can be with anybody. It could also be amongst the CO's commanding officer's wife also, that she might just think, until you correct all of them. What is important in this letter is, what I see it is, well, it's an internal, where the corps commander seems to have written after seeing that he had 8 of them under his command. He saw what it was. He probably must have also seen that they are undergoing some kind of a problem. He's seeing, there's a lot of difference in having women officers under you and women officers in command, having male officers under them and whole lot of them under them for various reasons. So therefore, sometimes it just might happen that somebody is wanting to exert in an authority which may not be appreciated for whatever the reason. So he's not at all, again and again I'm repeating, as a corps commander, he's only bringing to the notice of his hierarchy, look, I have 8 of them, this is what I noticed, this is what I hear, this is what I see, and this is what I would like to bring to your notice. And he wants the MS and the AG's rank to look into the whole issue. Now, again and again, to say women, they are women, definitely they are women, but they're commanding officers, and that is where the whole thing is. Yeah.
Okay. The only even then the argument doesn't end over here, Lieutenant General Sanjay Kulkarni. The question here is that there could have been, is this the only thing you observed? There could have been other observations about other male commanding officers as well, but then there is no observations. It's as if all male commanding officers are fine. There are no fundamental issues. Only the women commanding officers have an issue. I'm guessing this debate doesn't end here, but I'm afraid we've completely run out of time over here. I'm going to thank Lieutenant General Rajiv Chaudhary and Lieutenant General Sanjay Kulkarni for taking time out to be this here in News 9 Plus Show. And of course, my colleague Nivriti Mohan with us, putting things into perspective. Thank you, Nivriti, for being with us on